Well, welcome to this week's edition of Bolton In. All thanks to Palmer Bet, and all thanks to these two legends too. Love these blokes. Adam McGrath all the way from Las Vegas. How are you, Ads?
Going very well, thank you, mate. Good to be with you guys again. Looking forward to hopefully a better weekend when it comes to tipping.
Mate, it was a strip out last week. Shane Anderson, as we say, a very good morning to you all the way from Copenhagen, mate. I'm trying to just change things up a little bit, mate. I've just gone the backwards hat just to try and just change our luck, as we were a little bit down on our luck last week, weren't we, Shane?
Well, Matty, Adam, good to be back with you both. It all started with Autumn Glow being sensationally scratched from the flight where we thought she was the anchor for the weekend. And then some interesting results, certainly through the Epsom, certainly through the Metropolitan. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Turnbull. But it was a tough weekend. Hopefully, as we progress now into Caulfield Guineas weekend, things might go our favour.
Yeah, and it's interesting just having a look at as our tips coming through on the WhatsApp group. We're all pretty similar. They seem to be all pretty stock standard this weekend, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Let's have a look at last week's results. CO Wolf at around about the $5 mark, stormed home. Really impressive winner in the Epsom. This horse has got plenty of upside for mine, Shano. I reckon I was actually kicking myself, to be honest, because I was on this horse the start before. Narrowly got beaten, was charging through the line late. The money support kind of come, and should have followed it in, to be honest.
It's fascinating when you go back and you sort of reflect on some of the results, Matty. You can certainly make a very strong case for CO Wolf being a leading contender at that race and has really followed what is proving to be a reliable form reference for the big miles at Randwick, and that is a lead-up run over 2,000 metres. You run well in that. You get the drop back to a fast run, 1,600 metres at the tough Randwick mile, and quite often they just outstay their rivals. I thought Chad Schofield gave CO Wolf a perfect ride, gave him every conceivable hope, and he really sprouted wings over the concluding stages to win impressively. Good to see Joe Pryor with another Group 1 success. Those behind, Tom Kitten, Royal Patronage, Kovalika, all ran well. But on the day, CO Wolf was clearly the class above runner and won very, very impressively.
And Ads, I think the thing for us was probably just they had a tricky gate, 2,000 back to 1,600. There was a couple of knocks, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, barriers 14 wins it, barrier 19 gets second, and barrier 17 gets third, with barrier 20 running sixth. So throw the barriers out the window, meant absolutely nothing in the end. But for mine, it was one when I did the handicapping. I thought it was a pretty weak-ish Group 1, and I still walk away from that just wondering how this race is going to stack up when they do come up against other horses. Kovalika goes around again this weekend, and we will see a few of these stepping out again soon. But I do have just a few question marks about the form from this race.
Yeah, going to be interesting to watch moving forward. And it's always hard, isn't it? You know, you kind of try to mirror up the Sydney form, the Melbourne form, and where it all sits. And we spoke about this last week. I think we were kind of all probably siding in the Melbourne form lines. But then Via Sistina comes out and does a magnificent job defeating Buckaroo in the Turnbull Stakes. The real Via Sistina turns up. And I must admit, I struggle to find the horse. Like when you're on, you think, oh yeah, this is the go, and let me down a couple of times. But best is best. Best is good enough, and best is very, very good, isn't it, Ads?
Yeah, it is. And it's one thing that we sort of talked about last week. I know Shane ended up sticking with it, and we sort of said that if you're against her, you needed to see it. If you're with her, you probably need to back it up again. And thought it was a really good performance. I just liked her toughness again. That's the sign that I really wanted to see from her. And she really had to show that toughness, that want to win down that straight. It wasn't that she was just too brilliant for them. It was a really tough performance. So for mine, it ticked all the boxes. But as I said, Shane, you stuck with her. What did you take from that? And what confidence does that give you now moving forward with other races?
Yeah, she's back on track. What I liked about the race is those that were on speed, the likes of Elysius and Duke de Sassa, were still there at the finish. Those like Via Sistina and Buckaroo were able to come from back in the field and get themselves into the race and eventually fight the race out. So it looks like it was a fairly solid edition of the Turnbull. No real superstar in the race, although Via Sistina on her historical form was clearly the number one seed. We just needed to see her bring that back. But Buckaroo's continued his great spring carnival form. He's run exceptionally well, I thought, just beaten by a better horse on the day. I think we can trust the form going forward to a race like, whether it be those heading towards the Caulfield Cup or those going to the Cox Plate. I think Via Sistina, based on that effort, is going to be a live chance in the Cox Plate. But again, really keen to see what the makeup of that final field looks like. But to our point that we sort of touched on earlier, We needed to see her do it. She did it. She was pretty strong on the line. Buckaroo maintains his good form line, so I think we can trust the form out of the race.
And I think, boys, do we trust prior to Jetty, Mr. Brightside, that start before? Like, I think any form lines through those two horses, I think, are going to be really solid. Is that the thing we're going to take out of this, do you think? Because they are gut-busting runs generally, aren't they, when Pride of Jetty's running in any race that she's running in?
Well, think about Mr. Brightside. I'm keen to get Adam's views on this. Is that he's proven now for the best part of 4 seasons in a row
Yep.
that he can keep standing up to high pressure races and race well. So it's going to be a really interesting scenario for him again, going around in the Might and Power this weekend to see how he's come through that run at the Valley. But again, what we're seeing from these lead up races in Melbourne is the results are actually pretty much running to market expectations, which is always a good sign. And they're running to to what is the best form in the race. As I mentioned earlier with Via Sistina Buckaroo, what we saw from Pride of Jenny, Mr. Brightside in the last couple of clashes. So the big seeds are running well, and that sets it up for a Cox Plate in a couple of weeks' time. If they all turn up in form, I think it's going to be a tremendous race. But I'm becoming more and more confident with what I'm seeing out of the Melbourne form that it is very, very strong form. Adam?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we've seen some genuine races. We're seeing the good sorts go there as well. And I just have more confidence in the consistency that we've seen through the Victorian races at the moment. I have found that the Sydney Gallopers have really just varied some of that form, and it has gone different from track to track or state to state when they've been travelling as well. So for mine this year, I definitely just feel, a lot more consistency when looking at those Victorian runners.
Hey, let's have a look at the victory, or talk about the victory of Lady Shenandoah, the Flight Stakes. Autumn Glow was the big talking point. It was kind of her race, really. Disappointing for Connections, disappointing for everybody there. And we hate seeing good horses, break down or get injured and stuff like that. So, but you can only beat what you rock up to beat on a Saturday, and it was an impressive victory, wasn't it? That's
Yeah, it really was. And it was interesting listening to Chris Waller after the race. I mean, you lose your superstar and then just Lady Shenandoah steps up and wins by 3 lengths, absolutely brains him. And he mentioned that she wasn't even going to run. He said that he had her nominated for a trial on on Friday, being Australian time, was going to go to that. Then when Autumn Glow came out, thought, you know what, we'll go in and see how we go. And she absolutely brained them. And I remember Shane sort of said, just keep a big watch on this horse. And I completely agreed with him when he did say that, because just the way that this horse was progressing, it was just going to be whether it was too soon. And as I said, Autumn coming out really helped that. But classy performance. Chris Waller again unearthed a very nice galloper here, and I'm excited to see where they do go moving forward. But amazing how well his stable goes when you lose your star and then you come out and still brain the field.
Yeah, look, and I say this with the greatest amount of respect, and having interviewed Chris for many, many times over many, many years. Particularly after big race successes, quite often he's already got a backup plan if something goes wrong for his big gun runners. We saw that with Lady Shenandoah. I mean, Autumn Glow, hopefully she'll bounce back. The injury's only, quite minor when we think about it. Floating bone chip, a lot of good horses have that sort of issue. They have the treatment and they come back. I mean, Winx is a perfect example. It's not a really serious injury, so I have faith that if she makes a quick recovery, she's going to be a very, very significant force as we see her in the autumn, and hopefully glowing Autumn Glow. But Lady Shenandoah, there's so much to like about this filly. Her win in the Ming Dynasty over Mayfair was super strong. She progressed again. She goes to the 1,000 Guineas. She's probably the one to beat there. Likeable type. She's only had the 4 starts, so there's a lot more to come. But Chris, he's always got a plan with his horses. There's always a significant backup plan. So if something goes wrong for the big guns, he generally sweeps the prize. It's been a remarkable career, particularly from the master trainer over the last, 10, 15 years.
Just on Chris Waller, I had the pleasure last week of watching the documentary, A Horse Called Winx. I don't know whether you've seen it, gents, but absolutely sensational. Jeez, it's put together well. Andrew Rule narrates it. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Do yourself a favour, get out there and have a look, because it is first-class. Huey Bowman, Chris Waller, Larry Cassidy, all the big stars are in there. And it's just a really good insight into what was an absolute superstar of our sport. Hey, form lines, talk about form lines. The Metropolitan, I'll be keen to get your thoughts on how you reckon this is going to stack up moving forward. Land Legend was too good at $8. Just pipping Zardozi. What do you reckon of this race moving forward, boys?
Yeah, don't know what else to say. Look, let's give a shout out to Winner Land Legend. I'm sort of kicking myself a little bit because I was actually at one stage swaying to Land Legend and then, kept looking at the form, and went a different direction. I know Adam has long been a fan of Zardozi, and she's run well again. I'm thrilled for Reece Jones getting a first Group 1 on a narrow victory with Land Legend. Slightly controversial victory in some regards. There was a fair bit of chatter as to whether a protest should have gone one way or the other. Narrow margin on the line. Do I get excited by this form lines going to a Caulfield Cup? Not quite. I have been proven wrong in the past, but I'm happy to steer clear of this, perhaps as a Caulfield Cup or Melbourne Cup form reference. But Land Legend and Zardozi both ran as well as you could hope on the day, and it was a dramatic finish, a great finish.
Ads? Anything you want to add, mate?
Yeah. No, like I talked about with the Epsom, I question this form, and for me, this just summarised my weekend on the punt being on Zardozi. Thought I won it live, thought I was going to win it, no protest, and sat there looking at my account with 0 in it, so it was perfect. But no, I'm with Shane. I wouldn't be reading into this form lines too much. For mine, I didn't get a lot of confidence from it.
Yeah, I'm with you, boys. But we might be proven wrong in the next couple of weeks. Let's have a look at the Group 1 features of the weekend. Caulfield Guineas, the first one we want to have a look at. And a horse that we all love, an up-and-coming superstar of the sport for mine, Broadsiding, is the favourite, all thanks to Palmer Bet at $1.55. Mayfair at $7.50. Angel Capital at $9. Evaporate, $12. Private Life, $17. Rua at $17. Public Attention, $21. And Tropicus at $26. I'll start with you, Shano. Broadsiding's Caulfield Guineas. Fantastic run first up over the 1,400 metres. Steps out to the 16. Second up, Cherry Ripe. Ticks a lot of boxes. Short enough, but sweet enough, I reckon.
Yeah, Broadsiding wins and wins easily if everything just pans out as a fair race. There's no interference. I think he's a class above. I was reluctant to side with him in the Golden Rose, unlike you two who both stuck solid. But what I saw has impressed me immensely. He's now proven all the way through his 2-year-old season to where we are now that he is the number 1 seed of his age group. That Golden Rose win, the more you watch the replay, the better it gets. I was actually thinking he might even open up a little bit shorter than what we're currently seeing for the Caulfield Guineas. I don't mind him where he's drawn, barrier number 9. It'll give James McDonald lots of options, depending on how the races run in the early stages of the race. But traditionally he's a horse that'll probably settle most likely midfield and then be safe for that big booming finish over the last 400 metres or so. I think Broadsiding's a good thing. He's my best. And as I said, I just think he wins. I have mentioned numerous times in our programming that Mayfair is a horse I've got a lot of time for. He's just so wonderfully consistent all the way through his career. He ran well behind Lady Shenandoah when runner-up to that Star Filly in the Ming Dynasty. And then, of course, he went to the Golden Rose. And I thought, again, he was super strong when narrowly beaten by Broadsiding and Traffic Warden when finishing third just in front of Storm Boy. He's got some tactical versatility. I think from the outside barrier, most likely he will roll forward and find a position, and he's going to run a good race from there, Mayfair. I hope he runs well again, but on form, on what we know, Broadsiding has his measure and should win.
Come on, Ads. Don't let me down, mate. Stick fat. Broadsiding corner.
No, yeah, 100%. No chance. Look, there's a few short favourites this weekend. This is the best one in the country by a mile. Broadsiding, as Shane said, for mine, I think this horse will be winning if it does everything properly. 3 from 3 at the distance. Strips fitter from that first up run. Best 3-year-old in the country. So for mine, just wins this race. My value bet, I think this horse is completely forgotten. I went back and watched the run over and over again. Public Attention, 3 wide the trip in the Guineas prelude and still was able to get second, considering the runs the first and the third place got. I thought it was a massive performance. Now jumps from barrier 6. Ethan Brown takes a ride. Like the debut over the 1,200 metres, like the run on Lister McKenzie was unlucky. I think it's just going to track behind them perfectly. 1,600 metres looks ideal, and you're getting $20 plus. I thought it was a huge performance to stick on and finish second on that occasion. So for mine, Public Attention is definitely the value runner in the race.
Yeah, I'm with everyone. Broadsiding, there's nothing there, but we'll just take it, hopefully, and he'll just continue marching on and showing what a superstar he's going to be. I went with Wanarua from the Gay Waterhouse. I just thought this horse might lead him up and might look the winner, at the 200-metre mark or something. Look, Gay's horses, they kind of tend to kick, and they'll kick on, and it's just whether and the way the track's racing and stuff on the day. But you never know, you might get a bit of a leader-biased track at Caulfield or something, and you might get a good run for your money with Wanneroo. But broadsiding, deserved favourite for the Caulfield Guineas, and going to be very, very hard to beat. Let's move along to the Might and Power Stakes, race number 7 over 2,000 metres. This Saturday in the Palmerbet market, Mr. Brightside, $1.60. A Tissue on the back up at $5, Denied Knowledge at $8, Coco Sun $14, Jenny Lala at $19, Adelaide River $20, Vow and Declared $21, and Colour Paw at $34. I reckon this is the softest field that Mr. Brightside's been in for some time. Does he win? Stretching out to the 2,000 metres. Is there any little question marks? He's short enough at $1.60.
Oh, I've got so many question marks. So many question marks. As I said, compared to broadsiding, I'd be taking broadsiding every day of the week if I was doing bets. I have Mr. Brightside on top, but I won't be backing him. I won't be putting in multis. I won't be going anywhere near him in this race. For mine, look, as we talked about, I think Mr. Brightside has proven himself for 4 to 5 years. You know what you're going to get. The horse is very, very tough. Has to be huge question marks. 5 runs of the distance, has never won over 2,000 metres. Then you go that what we normally see is that Pride of Jenny is the leader, and he's the one doing the donkey work, leading him up and continues to show that toughness. That's not going to happen here. There's not going to be a lot of speed in this race. It's almost going to be more of a sit and sprint, I think, type of 2,000 metres. So for mine, that doesn't suit him either. So many question marks, as I said. The only thing that made me decide to put him on top over a Tissue is the track record, that he's won 5 from 8 there and has the 2 seconds as well. If he didn't have that record, I think I'd leave it. I mean, even last time this horse raced over 2,000 metres in Victoria, he was beaten by a Tissue and Vow and Declare. A Tissue ran 3rd, Vow and Declare ran 4th, and he ran 5th. So for mine, way too short, way too many question marks for mine, but I still have him on top. Despite that all being said, my value bet in the way, if I was to be betting in the race, I'd be backing a Tissue here. Loves the distance, 3 wins from 7 attempts with a 2nd and a 3rd. Has one of the better sprints in the race as well, so I think she can really get past him when the track is going to suit and the way this race is going to unfold. J-Mac in the saddle ticks a box as well. So Mr. Brightside, despite saying all that, is my best bet in the race, but if I'm betting with money, I am going with the Tissue.
I must admit, boys, I was on the Tissue later. I was a tad disappointed for mine. I thought, horses ran past her. I can't be anywhere near. I know the fear. There's probably, there's only probably 3 or 4 live chances, I suppose. But I just cannot and could not look anywhere after last week.
I'll say with you, Matty, I was really disappointed again. But again, I've just gone back to that genuine Group 1 form, and I think she has it over him. So I'm willing to give her just that slight forgiveness. I think a lot of these have to step up and show they've got it. As we know that it's there for her, I'm just going to hope that it was an off run. But I agree with you. It wasn't confidence building either.
No, not at all. Shano, are you with Brightside? What are you thinking, mate?
Yeah, I am, which might be the kiss of death. I'm not sure I've yet ever tipped him when he's won. But the way I'm looking at it is if he can't win this, then I don't want him in the Cox Plate for a couple of reasons. One, the mares are really progressing, and the fact that broadsiding, if he wins the Caulfield Guineas, there's a strong chance of going towards the Cox Plate. So I think he's going to be in a little bit of no man's land. But I look at this race, on face value, he's drawn the inside barrier. His form so far this spring has been actually first rate all the way through, even when he's been beaten. I did put the caveat when I went with Pride of Jenny last time out, tipping her, and then when we did the post-race assessment, the thing that annoyed me a little bit about Mr. Brightside's run, yes, he was taking ground off Pride of Jenny over the concluding stages, but he wasn't putting a margin on the 2 horses that were behind him in that run. So, I've got some nagging doubts, but I just think Craig Williams off the inside barrier, I expect him to try and get him out of the gate and hold a position. I'd be very, very surprised that Willow would want to go too far back off the speed. There does look to be enough pace in the race. And I just think from the inside barrier, he should get every conceivable hope in the run, get himself into the clear, and probably be too strong for his rival. So I'm pretty keen he can win. He loves Caulfield. He just looks the most likely winner. So I've got him as my best, but as I said, with the caveat that I don't think I've tipped him when he's whenever he's won, and every time I've tipped him, he's put in a shocker. So let's hope, Mr. Brightside. The one I'm really interested still in is Coco Sun. I thought she did more than enough last time out. She's still still somewhat emerging 4-year-old. She had a really good 3-year-old season, particularly in South Australia. I just like her. And I think with that additional benefit, this is a really good test for her to see where she really fits in the overall scheme of things and which direction they go. Does she sort of stay to the mare's features? There's still a few over the remainder of the carnival. Does she continue to take on the boys, whether it be in the cups or other? She's a really, really nice prospect, her son. So I think she still represents value in the race. I expect she'll run well, but I'm finding it impossible to tip against Mr. Brightside. So he's my best, my value, her son.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with Mr. Brightside with a lot of confidence, but I just always come back to that Cox Plate. I just think there's got to be a 2,000-metre win in this horse at some point in time, I just don't reckon the field's overly strong. I'm a little bit similar with you, Shano, just coming through that same buckaroo kind of form, but I went with Deny Knowledge. I thought Deny Knowledge and Coco Sun both kind of went across the line similar, and I just Freeman, Zara, second up. I think that's the value bet for the day. But yeah, Brightside and crossing the fingers that the champ gets it done. Let's have a look at the Toorak Handicap. Race 10, a lot of talk about the Toorak during the week with Pride of Jetty nominating, and I'll be interested actually just to ask you boys, what's your take on the Pride of Jenny nominations and the squeezing, the condensing of the weights and stuff? I'll start with you, Ads. What's your thoughts on it?
Look, it was an interesting one. As you said, it got plenty of talk on social media. I don't really give it too much thought. I just look at the final fields and go from there. But it's something that I guess I wasn't a huge fan of, but we see it all the time. Every time I'm doing my jockey manager stuff in Perth, I deal with it every single week when you see stables do it deliberately. But yeah, not a fan of it, but what do you do?
Shano?
Stables have been doing it for 150 years. Stables have continued to do it for 150 years to come until no, but
it's not going to change. Seriously. That's right. Yeah.
So one thing I like, look, at the end of the day, they were within their rights to nominate for the race, despite the fact they've told so many stories that she was never going to run there. That's fine. I love the fact that its stewards have asked the question, basically put the pressure back on the stables. I'm not saying that the stable has done anything wrong. They're in their rights to nominate for the race, but the reality is these are handicap races, and the whole idea is to get your horses in with the best possible weight. And as I said, this has been going on and on ever since racing first began. So, but it's great to see stewards asking questions of the stables, and it puts the pressure back on the stables to make a stronger commitment, because if you're going to go down the path of having betting open earlier in the week, we need to have clarity about what's the makeup of the field so punters can continue to bet with confidence. So it's going to happen time and time again. Some of the biggest stables in racing do it. It can be frustrating, particularly around these Group 1 races. I'm glad the stewards asked the question, but we'll see it happen time and time again until they literally come in and make a significant rule change around it.
So boys, I'm going to ask you, do you reckon they've pulled the right rein? And geez, you wouldn't question Kieran Marks. He's very, very good at it. But, the backup the week after into a Cox Plate, is that the path you boys would have taken? Shane, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I have no issue with backups. High-class horses, provided they don't have any physical issues or potential niggles. I'm not saying injury, because injury is a different scenario, but like every elite performer, there's always going to be some performance management scenario. But high-class horses can hold their form. Mares in particular, particularly when they're in form, you tend to get a lot out of them. So I'm not too concerned about that. I'm more concerned about how that race in Sydney next week's going to pan out. What's it called, the King Charles III, right?
Yeah,
and but yeah, I'm not concerned about the backup. What could be
travel? The travel
is,
factor, like travel up there, travel back.
Yeah, I think the reality is, again, travel is becoming less and less an issue as we get more and more into the modern era. It's not like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago where you're in the back of a trailer and on the bumpy roads. Like, the world is a vastly different place. I'm not too concerned about the travel. They do it on a regular basis. And the thing about the Kieran Marr stable, with the way that they've got their two-state operation, they've pretty much nailed that. I just think it's going to come down to what field she takes up on in Sydney. If it's a strong field, it'd be really interesting what that does to her. What we keep seeing from her, remember back to the spring last year, I know I'm saying a lot here, but to the spring last year, she ran a gut-busting race in the Saturday in the mares race. She won that. She comes out the following week and she wins that as well. She absorbs pressure. So the backup's not too much of a concern for me. More so, what's the makeup of the field in that King Charles?
Ads, do you want to add anything there, mate?
Yeah, look, I'm just the same with Shane. The backup doesn't bother me at all with horses that have shown they like it. And I do find that horses that enjoy the high pressure and roll out in front, they seem to be less affected by that. When you do that tough run and then for that week, you just don't do anything again. You sit in the beach, you freshen up, they don't really go on the track. And it seems to work for those type of runners. For sitting sprinters, I don't think you see the same success, but just for those horses that really like it tough and like it out in front, as I said, the backup when they just have that week off and do nothing seems to work. And as you said, Matty, Kieran Maher, be pretty confident he's going to get it right when it comes to game time.
Yeah, he's very good at getting them right for Group 1s, I can tell you.
Matty, I just want to throw one other point to this, because we quite often, particularly from a media angle, you're always looking for different conversation pieces when it comes to a lot of racing and so on. Just remember, for the best part of 150 years, no one questioned a horse running on the Saturday of Cup Week and backing up on the Tuesday 3 or 4 days later. It's just, this is the training. Like, sometimes we overcomplicate things in racing. The reality is high-class fit animals can keep racing well. I think over time there's become because of the amount of prize money and so on that exists in racing, it's altered the programming. But for a long, long time, the challenge has not been about, can they back up? It's more, is it the right race for this horse to get the maximum out of it? That's sort of the last thing I'll say on it, but I have no issue with the backup.
And you know what? At May is a prime example. You see horses back up from the Tuesday to the Thursday in not only Warrnambool Cups, but also Grand Annuals, don't you? So, and it's been going on for years. So, good points, boys. And we're going to know a hell of a lot more in the next couple of weeks. Hey, what about the Toorak? This is a cracking field, 1,600 metres, Group 1, Saturday. Another Will is the Palmer Bet favourite at $2.80. Antino at $4.40. Desert Lightning, $7. Orchestral at $9.50. Craig, $9.50. Elsafina at $11. Osapenko, $12. Wishful Lash, $21. And Jimmy the Bear at $34. Hard to not be so impressed with that victory of Another Will last start. Nearly put through the running rail. Jockey change. Mickey D goes on. Jamie Carr obviously suspended. $2.80. We might look at this after the weekend and think, geez, that was a luxury. Ads, are you in Another Will's corner?
Look, I'm in Another Will. I'm not going to be as negative as I was for my top tip with Mr. Brightside, and I'm definitely not having to go at Mickey D here. I want to make that very, very clear, but the jockey change concerns me. For mine, I just think Jamie Carr just gets the best out of this horse, the way she rides. I love the relationship. All I want is Jamie Carr and Another Will. Now, Mickey D, great rider, does nothing wrong, been one of the best in Australia for the last 365 days. So if you're not going to have Jamie Carr, I don't have a knock with him being on, but I just get concerned when a horse has done everything so well. I think that win last start, I think it only wins if Jamie Carr is on the saddle, because the way that she keeps balance and keeps them relaxed and happy. So it's not what you want going into a big race and one of the biggest races for this horse, but I still have it on top. 3 from 3 at the track, had no right to win the Testarossa, 7 from 10 overall, classy horse. We've been waiting for this race. I just get nervous about the jockey change. And as I said, it's nothing against Mickey D whatsoever, but Another Will on top. And my value bet, I'm not going to go against her. Alsafine has been absolutely huge since she's come to Victoria. I thought her first up run in the heavy track was massive. She was brilliant when winning at Moonee Valley in the Grade 2. Blake Shin rides Antino. I'm not sure if that's more because of the weight or because of the selection. I was trying to find out what weight he's riding at the moment, but this horse obviously getting in a little bit lighter. So for mine, I'm not too worried that Blake's decided to go with Antino. Jai McNeil jumps in the saddle, a bit like Mickey D. You're losing nothing there, Blake Shin, Jai McNeil. So for mine, I think she's primed to go. The last time she was over a mile, she finished second in a railway carrying the same weight. And what we know, when Grant Williams and Alana Williams send horses to Victoria for Group 1s, they're normally primed and ready to go. So I expect another very big performance from her. So Another Will on top, Alsafina, the value bet.
Shano, you're with the champ or the rising champ, the excitement machine, Another Will?
Yeah, I am. I think he wins. Inside barrier, perfect for him. Third up, perfect for him. No issue with Mickey D, unlike Adam, who's just throwing lots at poor old Mickey.
Just knocking
Mickey's a star. We'll get the best out of another Will. The miles suits, like the list goes on. I think he'll win. He's a very, very promising horse. His form this season has been terrific. I just can see him getting every conceivable hope in the run. Toorak handicaps traditionally being a mile handicap race at Caulfield, they don't loaf. They certainly do roll along in this race historically. So I think the tempo is going to be good and solid, and that'll suit another Will. Yeah, I'm pretty confident he'll win and probably go on to bigger and better things. He's a very, very exciting horse. So he's my best. My value bet is Orchestral. I can't believe the price they've posted for this mare. I thought another Will's price was about right when markets went up. But Orchestral, so much ability. Of course, trained by the James Wellwood Yard out of New Zealand. She's a proven star filly from last season. Of course, she won many feature races in New Zealand, including the Derby. She came to Australia, won the Binary Stud Stakes, and then she went well in the Oaks at Randwick behind Autumn Angel. Now, she had a nice first up run at Ellerslie back on the 21st of September. She ran well there. She's got a tremendous second up record. She's 2 from 2. She's actually got great stats at the distance. And I think she's going to run an enormous race, Orchestral. And I think she's going to be a good test for another Will. So they're the two I'm most keen on. Another Will, I think, will win. Orchestral will run very, very well. She's my value, but looking forward to the Toorak.
It's going to be a cracking race for more. I love another one. I reckon he's nearly bomb-proof, especially from barrier 1, because he likes all conditions. Undefeated at the track, 3 from 3, 1-7 from 10. Only good horses do that. And I reckon he's just got so much ability to get bowled over like he did, to pick himself up last start and to win like he did. I thought was unreal. Value bet for mine is the horse that ran second first up. It's a local. Group 1, the only thing that's eluded Simon Wild, Wished or Lass. This horse has won 6 from 12, had a couple of little niggles last preparation, things just didn't go right. It's a serious racehorse, and it was chasing another Will Hard first up too. So I reckon I had something on at $51 and $14 a place last week, gents. I fair dinkum just reckon this horse has every chance to run a nice race. It's got a tricky little gate, but I reckon it's a chance at a decent price, still at around $21 in markets for the weekend. So another Will, I love him, and I would love to see for Colin and Janice McKenna another Group 1, and I know that this horse is pretty special to him as well, with the connection, the family connection, and the grandchild and name Will and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's got a good story, and they got a really good horse. Righto, let's play elsewhere. Legend Shano, I'm coming back to you. What else do you like over the weekend, mate?
Yeah, I'm sticking solid with the meeting at Caulfield. I wasn't taken too much by what was happening up at Rosehill this weekend, so I'm staying solid in Melbourne. I've got 3 others that I'm keen on. Race 3, the Northwood Plume. I'm going with Charm Stone Each Way Fresh. Now, we haven't seen this mare in a race for 55 weeks since she ran in the Golden Rose as a 3-year-old, but she's had a trial and 2 solid jump outs and has looked pretty good on each occasion. And I think at around that sort of $9 to $10 mark, Charm Stone Each Way, Northwood Plume, I'm keen on her. We move on to race number 4, City of Lights down in the weights, ran well in the Tibby at Newcastle last start, ready to strike from a good draw. And again, I'm pretty confident City of Lights will run well. And in race 5, the Weekend Hustler, I'm siding with Coastwatch Each Way, again around that sort of $9 to $10 mark. Nice. Theo Mark's run was quite good last time out. And from a good draw at the Each Way, I'm happy to be with him, Coastwatch. So that's Charmstone, City of Lights, and Coastwatch.
Ads, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, heading over west for their feature race number 8. Simon Miller's got 3 runners in it, and West Star, we've already tipped it on this program, and it was good to us when winning as a 2-year-old. Steps out now as a 3-year-old. The only knock I have is obviously it's opening day at Ascot, so that can sometimes be leader bias. This horse jumps from barrier 14. So that's the only question mark, which is why I think we're getting $3. I expected this horse to be a lot shorter, but I think it's just going to be the best 3-year-old in this race and the one moving forward. So West Star to take out that feature event at Ascot.
I like it when he goes back to the west, Shano. It's we always get up and about a little bit, that is for sure. And only one for the weekend, so that's a good sign too. I'm actually sticking with one of your WA horses, Ads, and I'll be keen to get your thoughts. Caulfield, race 9, number 1, Oscar's Fortune. First up, got some nice first up stats: 5 wins, 4 placings from 10 starts. Frosty Lane goes on, always a good sign when they bring a WA horse to Victoria, mate. And they only bring the good ones.
Yeah, when you remember the horse I threw out last week, this Oscar's Fortune actually beat it in the Winterbottom and it finished second on that occasion. So has that quality Group 1 form. I know they went to South Australia and again put in another good performance. But yeah, it's a tough on-speed horse and it'll be very competitive.
And I'm going against you, Shane. Race 3. I do like this horse, Moesha. It's a ridiculous price, $20 each way. Peter Moody, I thought did enough first up. Second up will improve. And I reckon it's got a nice sprint, this horse. Nice little short sprint that will put it in the race at some point in time. And I reckon back at Rose Hill, Gringotts was huge first up. Race 8, number 10. Currently getting about $4, which I think is a pretty reasonable price for that horse. So that's the way I'm going to play for the weekend. Download the Palmer Bet app. Get your punters club happening. And as we always say, gamble responsibly and think about what you're really gambling with. Gents, fantastic weekend of racing once again. The next couple of weeks, it's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, can't wait. Caulfield Guineas weekend, one of my favourites. And of course, then we roll into the Caulfield Cup Cox Plate and the Melbourne Cup Carnival. So lots to look forward to in the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, certainly heading into it. And as Shannon said, exciting time, good horses going around.
Hey, great to talk to you two legends as well. We'll talk next week. Enjoy your week, legends. And we'll be back, hopefully, with plenty more winners this time next week.
See you guys. Good luck.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.